Our show kicks off today and we see a girl running through the middle of her village, scared. And it's pretty clear she's running away from someone. At the same time, we see President John visiting his village for an inspection, waiting in his car to attend a celebration. Just then, Lena is escaping her family and runs right to John's car, telling him, "Please save me because my mom is chasing me and wants to marry me off to a guy older than me who I don't know. And I'm still just a student, and I don't love him." She assumes he's just a driver, nothing more. John sympathizes with her and actually drives off with her before her mom can catch her. We see that John left his celebration with the village people, specifically to save Lena. After an hour, John reaches the city, having left the village completely to get Lena to safety. As soon as she arrives, she finds herself falling asleep, apologizing that she forced him to drive so fast. When they arrive, Lena takes out money to pay the fare to President John and also gives him a sandwich, thanking him and walking away. Through all this, we see that John doesn't tell her he's the president and the biggest gangster in the country, so she thinks he's just a driver. Later, we see John talking to his grandmother, annoyed, telling her to stop setting him up on blind dates because he's not interested right now and no girl has appealed to him to be his wife. Lena arrives and meets her friend Soli, who tells her she also ran away from the village after her family tried to force her into marriage. And right now, she's only thinking about her future and finding a suitable guy to marry. Her friend tells her, "I'll get you a job today where you can make money." By the end of the day, we see Lena working at a hotel serving orders. On her first day, Soli sends her to a room to deliver drinks to a client. Lena doesn't understand anything. She just wants to work. At the same time, President John enters the same hotel. His assistant brings him many girls to serve drinks so he can party with them, telling him, "Your grandmother ordered you to meet any girl because she wants to see grandchildren." John ends up drinking the alcohol completely against his will. Not long after, Lena arrives at the scene and spots John sitting among the girls. Surprisingly, John manages to recognize Lena, even though he is heavily under the influence of the drugged drink. However, Lena refuses to party with John, simply telling him, "I'm just here to serve orders," and immediately leaves. She goes looking for her friend and finds her partying with another guy and drinking. She tells her, "Your whole life is a mess," and gets into a fight with the guy Soli is with. Soli apologizes to the guy, saying, "Sorry, she's a peasant just arrived from the countryside and doesn't know that this is our normal job, not just serving drinks." Soli pressures Lena to drink with the client purely as a form of apology. Feeling cornered and with absolutely no other solution to keep her livelihood intact, she reluctantly agrees to the demand. A short while later, Lena gets completely terrified when the client suddenly tries to assault her, so she runs away and enters John's room by mistake. Some things happen between them, but it's with John, not the client. The next day, Lena wakes up surprised by what she did, remembering she started it and entered John's room. She finds John telling her, "Looks like you planned this from the start to marry me, pretending to run from your family and then executing your plan." John offers her a sum of money and asks her not to cross his path again. Lena takes off, totally sad, remembering everything that happened between her and President John, feeling wronged because she was trying to escape the client. But it was John's assistant who opened the door for her. When the next day comes around, Lena feels terribly sick and decides to go for a checkup. The doctor looks at her and tells her, "Congratulations, you're actually pregnant." Lena is completely shocked and immediately asks the doctor to help her abort the fetus. However, the real shock comes when the doctor tells her, "Unfortunately, you have some serious fertility issues, and if you choose to abort this fetus, you might never be able to have children ever again." Lena leaves the clinic feeling very sad and unexpectedly meets John's assistant, who asks her, Are you pregnant or what?" Looking extremely happy about it, Lena immediately denies it and simply leaves. The assistant eventually confirms Lena is actually pregnant. Soli, Lena's friend, hears this and goes completely crazy with jealousy, saying, "I bring her from the boonies and in the end, she marries the president? I'm the one who deserves to be the president's wife, not Lena." Soli then decides to call Lena's mom to tell her where she is just to get rid of her. Meanwhile, John finds out from the assistant that Lena is actually pregnant. He also confirms that another guy had scared her, which caused her to enter his room by mistake, meaning she wasn't really in control of her actions. John rushes out to find her and reaches the hospital, only to learn that Lena is waiting for her turn to abort the baby because she simply doesn't know what to do or how to raise a child all alone. Lena sees John and immediately hides. She leaves the place crying, only to find her mom and brother waiting to kidnap her, shoving her into a car against her will. John is looking for her everywhere. She tries to call out to him, but he doesn't see her tied up inside the car. Lena arrives at her family's house only to find her mother forcing her to marry a completely different guy, telling her coldly, "We took your dowry to marry off your poor unemployed brother." Lena looks at them and tells them, "I'm pregnant, so this won't work." But her mother calmly says, "Okay, sweetheart, let's go to the hospital and abort the child." Listen to me and marry boss son. When Lena refuses, they force her to go and have an abortion. John manages to find the exact location of the car that took Lena all the way to the countryside. He decides to take a private plane with his gang to get there as fast as possible. Meanwhile, at the same time, the groom, son, tries to physically assault Lena. She desperately tries to escape from him and, finding no other solution, decides to throw herself off the edge of the building. But John arrives just in time, reaches out for her, and successfully saves Lena before she ends her life and the babies too. Lena collapses to the ground and John rushes her to the hospital in order to save her and the fetus. Lena wakes up later to find John beside her, thinking, he only cares about me because of his son and nothing else. But John's grandmother comes in to visit her, welcoming her warmly, saying, "Consider yourself my own daughter," exactly just like John. Lena is still scared and attempts to run away, but the assistant and guards bring her back to John's palace mainly out of fear for her safety. When she arrives at the place, John tells her, "This whole palace belongs entirely to you and my son who is on the way," and confesses that he's loved her deeply since the first time she asked for help. John's mother looks on and says, "My son never talked to girls his whole life, and look how you made him openly confess his love right in front of everyone." Later, we can see the grandmother taking Lena to choose and pick out all the latest brand name dresses, and tutors come to her directly, so she simply doesn't have to go to school anymore. John is being very sweet to Lena, noticing whenever she's looking at something, he goes ahead and buys it immediately. Eventually, at the end of the day, Lena is exhausted and tired from shopping, so the grandmother asks John to carry her. John is clearly embarrassed, saying, "I'm the president, I can't carry her in front of all these people." But he reluctantly obeys and carries Lena home in his arms. He openly thanks her for changing his life for the better. Eventually, when the next day finally arrives, Lena wakes up in her room only to find Soli sitting right there and talking casually with the grandmother. She then learns that Soli had actually applied for a nanny job specifically in order to stay living inside the house, secretly plotting her revenge while falsely pretending to serve her. We notice Lena understands her friend's true nature after the setup with the client and the drugs. Soli works in the palace. One night, John is drunk. Soli carefully plans to sneak and enter his room, saying, "I must be the lady of the palace here instead of Lena," reasoning that Lena acted like she didn't care about being the president's wife at all. Soli goes ahead and enters John's room, but Lena walks in on them and spots her, telling her immediately, "Get out and clean the kitchen, because clearly this isn't your job." Lena ignores her and enters the room herself. Soli is absolutely furious about the situation and swears revenge. She goes ahead and calls Lena's mom, agreeing to send abortion drugs to help get rid of the baby so Lena gets kicked out and the mom can finally marry her off to anyone as she pleases. Eventually, when the next day arrives, Soli goes ahead and makes a special meal for Lena with hidden poison inside it. Lena is sitting there about to eat, but John interrupts and enters the room with food, saying, "Why don't you try this meal from my hands, my love?" Lena proceeds to eat John's food while smiling. Soli watches and is visibly enraged because her plan completely failed, and John is being so overly caring. Soli goes ahead and calls Lena's mom, breaking the news that the plan failed, and asking the mom to call Lena while pretending to love her, and asking for a visit with money as a form of payment for raising her all these years. Lena is feeling quite annoyed about it, but Soli reassures her and says, "Your mom actually loves you, so I'll go there with you to deliver the money and we'll come right back, so have no worries." Lena goes ahead and calls John asking for a large sum, saying she'll pay her family back and never go there again after that, while simultaneously refusing his offer to accompany her because she wants to handle it alone. Lena goes along with Soli to her family's house. Her mom treats her terribly as usual, takes the money right away, and forces her to live there against her will. However, when the brother goes ahead and opens the bag, he finds it is actually full of paper inside and not money at all. Lena stands there and tells them, "Your little plan is busted. I heard Soli from the very start planning to kill the baby. I agreed with John to save me and secretly switch the plates, acting like we didn't know what was happening, just to see how you'd all end up." Shortly after, John arrives at the scene and saves Lena after her family angrily decides to kill her. Lena looks her in the eye and asks the mother, "Am I really your daughter?" Because honestly, this isn't how a mother treats her child at all. The truth is finally revealed that Lena isn't her daughter. They had kidnapped her when she was small. We see John ruthlessly punishing the woman and her son, breaking their legs, and proceeds to force Soli to eat the poisoned meal she prepared. Lena finally learned she was kidnapped from the hospital when she was just a newborn. Lena returns back home with John. They proceed to take a hair sample to find a matching mother for a paternity test. About 2 days later, a big businesswoman named Ms. Shu arrives at the house, saying Lena is her long-lost daughter after the test results confirmed it. However, Ms. Shu treats John disrespectfully and poorly, and demands he separate from Lena right now. In her eyes, Lena is now way richer than him and needs to marry a businessman wealthier than John. She tells John, "Don't even think the baby in my daughter's belly can tie her to you. Just so you know, we are the ones who will raise the child, and you won't see him." It's basically standard mother-in-law drama, but in the form of a high-powered businesswoman. Afterwards, Lena visits her father's grave to pay respects after learning he died when she was kidnapped, with John and her mother standing by her side. We see a girl watching Lena and her real mom, wanting pure revenge because the mom is now caring for Lena. At this moment, we are introduced to Juan, and we learn the truth that Lena's mom adopted Juan exactly when Lena was kidnapped. That is the main reason why Juan hates Lena's return. Juan decides to go in to introduce herself to Lena, acting just like a loving sister would, but she intentionally mentions in front of Lena that she actually met John before at a nightclub, just to make Lena hate him. By the end of the day, Lena's mom asks her to live with her and leave John, but John objects to the idea. After some discussion, Lena goes to live with her mom during her study period. We see Lena arriving at her mom's palace, where everyone gives her a special welcome. She finds her mom has prepared tons of gifts for her and tells her that all the properties will be returned to her account. At the same time, her illegitimate sister Juan is dying of jealousy, saying, "I was raised in all this wealth only to end up with nothing," while all the attention goes to Lena. We see Lena's mom gifting her a necklace and proceeds to take her to meet a group of young men, so she can choose a groom from among them. However, Lena tells her she needs to focus entirely on her studies right now, especially since she's a pro at design work, and her mom warmly encourages her hobby. The next day, Lena goes to university, and John drives her there himself. As soon as she arrives at the gate, a student named Dong greets her. John sees this interaction, gets out of the car, and is instantly super jealous. He suddenly hears Lena introducing John to her classmates as her brother, not her husband. John goes absolutely crazy with jealousy and tells his assistant, "Cancel everything on my schedule today. I'm staying right behind her." John follows Lena the whole time, clearly jealous, especially when her classmate is explaining a lecture to her. A bit later, Dong gives Lena an original copy of a famous person's book, telling her, "I got you the original copy." John snatches the book right out of his hands and says boldly, "I'll bring you the author himself here, and not just the book copy." We see Juan watching every single one of their moves the whole time from a distance, obviously burning with rage that Lena is getting all the attention from both the mom and John and stealing the spotlight. At the end of the day, John heads back home, leaving Lena alone at the university to finish her designs. Dong stops John outside, asking about things Lena really likes. John tries to brush him off quickly, telling him, "Lena doesn't like men at all, so you might as well give up right now." Later on, while Lena is alone finishing her design work, Juan goes ahead and pays some girls to bully her. The girls proceed to go in and try to bother Lena, telling her, "Your real mom is a peasant from the countryside, and honestly, you simply don't fit into this high-class life either at all." Lena tries to defend herself, saying, "My mother is actually the biggest businesswoman in the country," but they laugh and don't believe her. They continue bullying and harassing her, even threatening to report to the university director that she's in the early months of pregnancy just to get her expelled, since pregnant students aren't allowed here. They grab her hard work paintings and tear them up completely. A bit later, her sister Juan enters the room, chases the girls away shouting, and pretends to defend Lena innocently, even though she was the one who sent them to bother her from the start. Juan gets close to Lena face to face and tells her, "Your mom doesn't actually love you. She didn't even think once to look for you all these past years. Her only real interest is her work and her social status, so nothing else matters to her anymore. Even when she adopted me, she forgot about you because I was there. I took all the love and affection you would have gotten. Basically, your existence doesn't matter to her at all." Lena gets very upset, grabs the paintings, finishes tearing them up in pure anger, and storms out of the room. Afterward, Juan tries to drive a deep wedge between Lena and her mom. She takes pictures of the torn designs Lena made and sends them to the mom, saying, "Look, Mom, I walked in on your daughter Lena by chance and found her tearing up the paintings you worked so hard to get her into the design department for." Juan doesn't stop there with her plan. She calls Lena's mom on the phone and says, "I have a solution for this problem. Since she's not interested in studying anymore, how about we marry her off to a suitable person who is other than John?" That night, Lena is walking back home alone and finds her classmate Dong meeting her with a bunch of flowers, proposing marriage in front of all their friends. This turns out to be a secret agreement between Dong and her sister Juan. Naturally, Lena is surprised and shocked by what's happening. At the same time, John passes by the area and sees this. Initially, he doesn't interfere at first, but he finally steps in when he sees Lena clearly rejecting Dong. He approaches them boldly and says, "Isn't it shameful to propose to a married woman who is also pregnant right here?" Dong himself is shocked by the news. Later, Juan stands with Dong convincing him Lena tricked him, and they must get sweet revenge so Dong can marry Lena, and Juan can finally marry John. She admits she's been crushing on him since she first saw him, and simply doesn't want Lena to have him. John goes back home with Lena and gives her a special design education book, telling her he's also trying to learn like her, despite his high social status and wealth. On the other side, Juan and Dong plot together to separate Lena and John permanently. They proceed to hire a stranger, paying him a huge sum to assault her, and ruin her reputation forever so John will leave her, and she'll be forced to marry Dong. John, meanwhile, hires personal bodyguards for Lena, asking them to be by her side everywhere, especially when going to and from university campus. The very next day, Lena goes all the way to the library to choose her designs, with the guards looming and surrounding her everywhere she looks. When she proceeds to enter the hall to finish the design work, the guy sent to assault her tries to enter and sneak in unnoticed, but the guards intervene and stop him cold, ensuring she is safe. Juan gets visibly furious, saying, "How is my plan even failing?" She approaches the guards saying, "I'm her sister Lena," so they immediately let her in. Juan tries to convince Lena to go out for a special family gathering. Unfortunately, Lena naively agrees. When she arrives at the place with Juan, she finds guys already sitting with them, and is visibly very confused. Juan lies smoothly, saying, "Mom actually sent these guys to meet me here." Lena feels deep down something is wrong, apologizes, saying she is very busy and needs to return early to finish her design work. Lena attempts to leave, but the guys block her way and assault her. The guards burst in and break down the door and save her from them. We clearly notice her sister Juan sitting there watching her, looking satisfied and happy. Lena leaves the scene and goes directly to the hospital. John and the grandmother are right there, taking great care of her needs. A bit later, Lena sees her mom coming in worried, but Lena treats her harshly and coldly, saying, "Stop sending me guys to meet me." She finally realizes the truth, that the mom didn't send anyone. Her sister Juan invented the whole story and set her up to get rid of her completely. Lena returns home with the grandmother and John, leaving her mom standing alone. Juan exploits the situation perfectly, trying to make Lena's mom think she is the only one who loves her anymore. The next day, Lena goes to university campus to practice hard for the design competition. John is with her the whole time right there, even wearing a uniform like hers supportively to encourage her to keep going without getting bored at all. He even learns to draw with her to support her and prepares food himself so she stays fully focused. He gives her a special gift and keeps joking with her happily. We see Juan refusing to rest, watching them and slowly dying of rage, saying, "No, I have to separate them right now. This can't go on." Juan immediately calls someone, saying, "Tomorrow is the competition," and agrees on a malicious plan like always. The next day, Lena attends the design competition, ready to present. Suddenly, her mother enters the hall to announce to everyone her daughter is one of the contestants. Lena runs to her in panic and says, "Please, I beg you, don't say I'm your daughter here. If I win, they'll surely say you pulled strings for me unfairly." Before the competition, we see Juan agreeing with her friend backstage to switch Lena's flash drive with another empty one so she doesn't win at all. Finally, the competition starts with high energy. All contestants present their drawings to the judges. When it's finally Lena's turn, she goes up on stage to introduce herself to the audience. As soon as she opens the flash drive, she finds a video of herself with a person assaulting her in front of everyone present. Unfortunately, Lena is exposed, and everyone insults her, accusing her of being pregnant by an unknown person. The competition director yells at Lena, saying, "You came here to shame us on a special day like this?" Lena grabs the mic with trembling hands, trying to defend herself against the accusations, saying, "There is absolutely no law forbidding a student from being pregnant while studying here, especially if she is married properly." She also denies the video shown to everyone, claiming it is fake, but Lena can't defend herself enough against the angry crowd. John is running a bit late, but he eventually arrives and saves Lena from the scandal. He proves to everyone she is his wife and the video is fabricated. The assistant beats up the girl who exposed her and also beats Dong. We see Juan saying, "Looks like I'm going to get in trouble," and pretends to be upset for Lena, scolding Dong and her friend to clear her own name. Afterward, Lena presents her real design, which is a wedding dress. Everyone is completely dazzled and impressed by the beauty of the design, and they unanimously choose her. Lena gets the highest score of the entire event. Lena's mom comes out to introduce herself, stating Lena is her daughter and sole heir. She declares that anyone who bullies her will have their name wiped off the face of the earth. She also fires the university director for accusing Lena and believing the rumor. Now we see Juan going crazy with jealousy because Lena took everything from her, the non-biological mom, and all the property. Later, Lena goes to change her outfit backstage for the upcoming fashion show. She finds Juan already inside, saying, "I'll come over and help you because you're my beloved sister after all." Lena, being naive, believes Juan and goes with her. However, Juan has made a deal with thugs who kidnap Lena to a remote place. As soon as Lena opens her eyes, she finds her sister is the one who kidnapped her. She is shocked, saying, "So you are behind everything that happened to me?" We see Juan hitting Lena, saying, "You took everything I dreamed of. As soon as you appeared, you took everything, the love, the money, and the woman who considered me her daughter." John discovers Lena has disappeared from the room and goes looking for her immediately after realizing Juan was actually the one who faked the video to expose Lena and kidnapped her out of jealousy. A bit later, John arrives at the scene and saves Lena from the gang assault. Lena's mom also arrives shortly after, slaps Juan across the face, and tells her, "From today on, you have no place in my house or my life. I planned for you to take half the property along with my daughter, Lena. But from today, my daughter is Lena and Lena only." Finally, Lena's mom accepts John, telling him, "Now I am reassured my daughter will live with you and be your wife." A while later, we see Lena marrying John. They have 2 children, a boy and a girl. She also graduates from university surrounded by her small family, and they are totally happy. And that's where the events of our story end today.